I woke up to the sound of someone adjusting an IV drip beside my bed. The ceiling above me was white, institutional, with those acoustic tiles you see in hospitals. But this wasn't a hospital. The room was too quiet, too still. There was a window to my left showing a gray November sky, and beyond it, a parking lot I'd never seen before. "Good morning, Mr. Lawson. How are we feeling today?" A woman in blue scrubs stood at the foot of my bed, clipboard in hand, smiling that professional smile healthcare workers perfect over years of practice. "Where am I?" My voice came out rough, like I hadn't spoken in days. "You're at Meadowbrook Long-Term Care in Canada. You've been with us for 4 days now. Your daughter said you might be confused when you woke up. That's perfectly normal. 4 days." I tried to sit up, and my body responded. No weakness, no pain, no dizziness. Just that foggy feeling you get after sleeping too long. "There's been a mistake. I don't need to be here. Your daughter Sarah handled all the paperwork. She'll be so relieved you're awake. Let me get you some water, and I'll call her." I lay there trying to piece together what had happened. I'm 67 years old, not 97. I'm a retired civil engineer. I spent 32 years designing bridges for the Ministry of Transportation. My mind is sharp. I do the Globe and Mail crossword every morning in pen. The last thing I remembered clearly was dinner at my house in Rockcliffe Park. Sarah had come over with her boyfriend Derek. We'd had roast chicken. Sarah had poured me wine. After that, things got hazy. I remembered feeling extremely tired, going to bed early, and then nothing until now. When Sarah answered my call, her voice had that strained quality I'd come to recognize over the past year. "Dad, thank God you're awake. How are you feeling?" "Confused, Sarah. Why am I in a care facility in Canada? I was at home." "Dad, we talked about this. You had a serious fall. The doctor said you needed round-the-clock monitoring. Your cognitive assessment showed significant decline." "What cognitive assessment? What doctor? I feel perfectly fine." A sigh. "This is exactly what Dr. Morrison warned us about. You don't remember the episodes, the confusion, wandering outside at night. Derek and I have been worried sick. I haven't wandered anywhere. I've never had episodes." "Sarah, what's going on?" "Dad, please, just rest. I'll come visit this weekend, and we'll talk about everything. The staff, there are wonderful. You're safe now." "I don't want to be safe. I want to go home. We'll discuss it when I visit." She hung up. I stared at the phone the nurse had lent me. Something was very wrong. Sarah and I had always been close, especially after Margaret passed away 3 years ago. She was our only child. I'd helped her buy her first condo, supported her through a difficult divorce, celebrated when she got promoted to marketing director at her firm. But something had changed in the past year, ever since she started dating Derek. Derek Sullivan was a financial advisor, 42 years old, charming in that way that made me uncomfortable. Too smooth, too quick with compliments, too interested in my finances. He'd asked me multiple times about my retirement planning, my investments, my house. I'd always deflected. My late wife Margaret had never trusted him either, and she'd only met him once before she passed. The house. Our house in Rockcliffe Park that Margaret and I had bought in 1989 for $200,000. The house where we'd raised Sarah, where Margaret had planted her rose garden, where I'd planned to live until they carried me out. That house was worth close to $2 million now. The thought hit me like ice water. Over the next 2 days, I observed everything. The facility was decent, clean, and well-staffed, but it was for people who couldn't care for themselves. People with advanced dementia, people recovering from strokes, people at the end of their lives. I didn't belong here. I attended the group activities. I took the medications they gave me, small blue pills that made me drowsy. I smiled at the nurses, and I waited. On the 3rd day, my former colleague Frank Morrison came to visit. Frank and I had worked together at the ministry for 20 years. He'd retired to Rockcliffe Park the same year I did, 3 streets over. We played chess every Thursday. He walked into my room looking like he'd seen a ghost. "Robert, what in the hell is going on? I went by your place yesterday, and there was a realtor's sign out front. Sold, it said. I called Sarah, and she told me you'd had a stroke and were being cared for in a private facility. She wouldn't tell me where. My blood went cold. Sold? I did some digging. Contacted my nephew, who works at the land registry office. Frank pulled out his phone, scrolled, showed me the screen. Property transferred 2 weeks ago. Buyer is something called Bridgeway Investments. Sale price was $1.2 million. $1.2 million. For a house worth nearly $2 million in Rockcliffe Park, one of Ottawa's most exclusive neighborhoods. That's $800,000 below market value, Robert. Someone wanted to sell fast and quiet. I didn't sell my house, Frank. I've been unconscious or drugged for the past 2 weeks. Frank sat down heavily in the visitor's chair. Then, we need to get you out of here and to a lawyer. But first, we need proof you're not actually incapacitated. How do I prove I'm not crazy to people who've already decided I am? I know someone. My daughter-in-law is a geriatric psychiatrist at the Civic Hospital, Dr. Emily Chen. She's done expert witness work in elder abuse cases. If she evaluates you and says you're competent, that's ammunition. Can you arrange it without Sarah knowing? Frank nodded grimly. I'll have Emily come as a family friend visiting. These places let anyone in during visiting hours. And Robert, I need to tell you something else. What? That company? Bridgeway Investments? I had my nephew dig deeper. It's registered to a numbered company in Ontario. The director listed is Derek Sullivan, Sarah's boyfriend, the financial advisor. The man who'd asked me 6 months ago if I'd ever considered putting my affairs in order, just in case. He's stealing my house. He's stealing your life, Robert, and he's got Sarah helping him. Dr. Emily Chen came the next afternoon, dressed casually, carrying a tin of cookies like any visitor. But once the door closed, she became all business. She spent 3 hours with me. Memory tests, cognitive assessments, reasoning problems, questions about current events, and personal history. She tested my executive function, my attention, my language skills. At the end, she sat back and looked at me with a mixture of professional satisfaction and personal concern. Mr. Lawson, you score in the 94th percentile for your age group. Your cognitive function is excellent. You show no signs of dementia, no memory impairment, no confusion. Whoever diagnosed you with significant cognitive decline either made a serious error or was lying. What about the medications they've been giving me? I'd like to get a blood sample and have it analyzed. If someone was trying to make you appear impaired, certain drugs could do that. Benzodiazepines, for instance. Given to an unsuspecting person over several days, they'd cause confusion, drowsiness, memory gaps. Classic signs of dementia to anyone who didn't look too closely. Can you get me out of here? My evaluation should be enough to challenge your commitment. But you need a lawyer, Mr. Lawson, a good one who specializes in elder law. This isn't just about getting you released. If what you suspect is true, crimes have been committed. Frank's second gift was introducing me to Patricia Okafor. She was a partner at a firm in downtown Ottawa, mid-50s, with sharp eyes and a reputation for taking elder abuse cases personally. She came to the facility that evening, stayed for 2 hours, and took notes on everything. Mr. Lawson, based on what you've told me and Dr. Chen's preliminary findings, here's what I believe happened. Someone, likely your daughter's boyfriend, identified you as a target. Wealthy widower, valuable property, single child who could be manipulated. They spent months building trust, assessing your vulnerability. Then they drugged you, had a cooperative physician sign commitment papers claiming cognitive decline, and moved you here. Once you were out of the way, they executed a power of attorney, possibly forged, and sold your house to their own company at a significant discount. Sarah would never agree to this, not willingly. Patricia's expression softened. Mr. Lawson, I've seen this pattern before. The outside party, in this case Derek, manipulates the family member. He probably convinced Sarah this was for your own good, that you were declining, that the house was too much for you, that they were protecting you. By the time she realized what was really happening, she was already complicit. What can we do? First, we get Dr. Chen's evaluation submitted to the facility's medical director. That should get you released. Then we file an emergency motion with the Superior Court to freeze the sale of your property and any assets Derek or his company controls. We also file a complaint with the College of Physicians against the doctor who signed your commitment papers. And we contact the Ottawa Police Financial Crimes Unit. How long will this take? If we move fast, we can have you out of here within 72 hours. Getting your house back will take longer, but I've won cases like this before. The key is documenting everything and moving before they realize you're fighting back. The next morning, Sarah came to visit. She wasn't alone. Derek stood behind her, hand on her shoulder, looking every inch the concerned boyfriend. "Dad, you look good. The staff says you've been more alert." "Alert enough to know what you've done, Sarah." Her face flickered. Something like guilt crossed it before Derek squeezed her shoulder. "Mr. Lawson," Derek said, smooth as ever, "I understand this is confusing for you. The doctor explained that patients with your condition often don't recognize their own decline. It's called anosognosia. You believe you're fine because your brain can't process that you're not." "I don't have a condition, Derek. I have a daughter who's been manipulated by a con artist." "Dad, please," Sarah's voice cracked. "We're trying to help you. The house was too much. You were forgetting to pay bills, leaving the stove on, getting lost driving to the grocery store. We were scared." "None of that is true, and you know it. Frank tells me the house sold for $1.2 million to a company you own, Derek. That's $800,000 below market value. That's not helping me. That's robbing me." Derek's smile didn't waver, but something cold flickered behind his eyes. "The market's complicated, Mr. Lawson, and with the urgency of your care needs, we couldn't wait for the perfect buyer. Everything was done legally, with proper power of attorney. A power of attorney I never signed. Your signature is on the document, Mr. Lawson, witnessed and notarized." While I was drugged, Derek leaned closer, his voice dropping so the staff wouldn't hear. "You're an old man with a documented history of cognitive decline. You think anyone's going to believe you remember what you signed? The doctors say you have dementia. The paperwork is perfect. The house is sold. It's done. Then why are you here, Derek? If it's done, why do you look worried?" He straightened, jaw tight. "We're here because Sarah loves you and wants to make sure you're comfortable. That's all." He turned to Sarah. "We should go." The doctor said not to agitate him. Sarah looked at me, and for a moment, I saw my daughter. The little girl who'd helped me build birdhouses, who'd cried at her mother's funeral, who'd called me every Sunday for 20 years. She was still in there, somewhere, buried under whatever lies Derek had fed her. "Sarah, whatever he's told you, whatever he's promised, this isn't right. You know it isn't right." Her eyes welled up. "Dad, Sarah, we're leaving." Derek's hand tightened on her arm. He steered her toward the door. Before they left, Derek turned back. "Mr. Lawson, I really would recommend you accept your situation. Fighting this will only cause pain for everyone, especially Sarah. And legal battles are expensive. You might find you have fewer resources than you think." After they left, I sat in the silence of my room and felt something I hadn't felt since Margaret died. Pure, cold rage. Patricia moved fast. Within 48 hours, Dr. Chen's evaluation was submitted to Meadowbrook's medical director. He reviewed it, compared it to the original diagnosis from Dr. James Morrison, the doctor who'd signed my commitment papers, and found significant discrepancies. "Mr. Lawson, I owe you an apology," the medical director told me. "The intake documentation appeared legitimate. We had no reason to question it. But based on Dr. Chen's assessment, you clearly don't meet the criteria for long-term care placement. We're processing your discharge today." "What about Dr. Morrison, the one who diagnosed me?" "That's a matter for the College of Physicians. But between us, his examination notes are remarkably thin. A 15-minute appointment, no cognitive testing, diagnosis based entirely on family reports. It doesn't meet the standard of care." Patricia picked me up from Meadowbrook in her silver Lexus. It felt strange to be outside after 2 weeks, watching Ottawa go by through the car window. The Parliament buildings, the canal, the familiar streets of a city I'd lived in for 40 years. "We can't go to your house," Patricia said. "The sale has closed. Legally, it belongs to Bridgeway Investments now." Where am I going? Frank's offered his guest room until we sort this out. I've filed the emergency motion. Hearing is set for Monday. I've also spoken with the police. Detective Sergeant Williams from the Financial Crimes Unit is very interested in Derek Sullivan. Why? What did you find? This isn't Derek's first time, Robert. 3 years ago, in Toronto, an elderly widow named Doris Hartley gave power of attorney to a financial advisor named Derek Sullivan. 6 months later, she was in a care facility, and her house in Forest Hill was sold to a company called Parkview Holdings. She died before she could fight it. Her family tried to sue, but Derek settled out of court and moved to Ottawa. He's done this before, and he'll do it again if we don't stop him. But we have something Doris Hartley's family didn't have. We have you, alive and competent, willing to testify. The hearing was held in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice, a wood-paneled room that smelled of old books and justice delayed. Derek and Sarah sat on one side with their lawyer, a young man in an expensive suit who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Patricia and I sat on the other, with Frank behind us for moral support. Derek's lawyer went first. He presented Dr. Morrison's evaluation, the commitment papers, the power of attorney document bearing what looked like my signature. He called Derek as a witness, who testified in somber tones about my decline. I first noticed problems last spring, Derek said, not meeting my eyes. Robert would forget conversations we'd had. He'd call Sarah at odd hours, confused about what day it was. He got lost driving to the pharmacy 3 blocks from his house. Sarah and I were terrified something would happen to him. And the house? His lawyer asked. Sarah and I discussed it with Robert many times. He agreed the house was too much for him alone. He signed the power of attorney willingly, in my office, with a notary present. The sale was his idea. He wanted Sarah to have security. That's a lie. I couldn't help myself. The judge, a gray-haired woman with reading glasses, looked at me over her frames. Mr. Lawson, you'll have your turn. Please. Patricia was brilliant in her cross-examination. Mr. Sullivan, you say Mr. Lawson signed the power of attorney in your office. What date was that? October 15th of this year. And you have the original document? Yes. With Mr. Lawson's signature, witnessed by a notary named. Patricia consulted her notes. Jennifer Walsh? Correct. Interesting. I have here a sworn affidavit from Jennifer Walsh stating she has never met Mr. Robert Lawson and never witnessed any document signing on October 15th. She says you asked her to notarize a document with a signature already on it, telling her the client couldn't make it in person due to health issues. She's prepared to testify to that effect. Derek's composure cracked. She's mistaken. She's confused. She's also filed a complaint with the Law Society. Mr. Sullivan, you're not actually a lawyer, are you? You're a financial advisor. Why would you be using a notary at all instead of a lawyer for a power of attorney document? That's not. I was helping Robert avoid legal fees. How considerate. Let's talk about Bridgeway Investments, the company that purchased Mr. Lawson's house. You're the sole director, correct? I have various business interests. Yes or no, Mr. Sullivan? Yes. And the purchase price was $1.2 million. The assessed value of the property, according to MPAC, is $1.85 million. Can you explain the $850,000 discount? The market is complex. The house needed work. The house Mr. Lawson fully renovated in 2019, the house with a new roof, new HVAC system, and updated electrical, that house needed work. There were issues. What issues specifically, Mr. Sullivan? He said nothing. Let me help you. There were no issues. You bought the house at a massive discount because you had a captive seller, a man you drugged and committed to a care facility. You used his own daughter to help you. And this isn't the first time you've done it. Derek's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, this is speculation. I have documentation, Patricia said. Doris Hartley, Toronto, 2021. Same pattern. Financial advisor gains trust. Elderly person ends up in care. House sold to numbered company. Mr. Sullivan settled that case for $500,000 rather than face a trial. The judge removed her glasses. Is this true, Mr. Sullivan? Derek looked at Sarah. Something passed between them. Sarah's face had gone pale, her hands gripping the table. I want to exercise my right to remain silent. The judge turned to Sarah. Miss Lawson, do you have anything to add? Sarah stood up slowly. Her voice shook. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. Derek told me Dad was declining. He showed me videos he'd taken of Dad seeming confused. He said we needed to act fast before Dad did something dangerous. He said the house was too much liability, that we needed to sell it to pay for care. Tears streamed down her face. I trusted him. He's been planning this for months, and I didn't see it. Sarah, Derek hissed. No. She turned to face him. I'm done. I should have seen it when you pushed me to get Dad's financial information. I should have seen it when you found that doctor who'd sign anything for cash. I should have seen it when you rushed the sale. She looked at me. Dad, I'm so sorry. I thought I was protecting you. He made me believe you were sick. Miss Lawson, the judge said carefully, are you saying you were unaware of the fraudulent nature of these transactions? I was manipulated, but that doesn't excuse what I did. I signed papers. I told the nursing home Dad had dementia when I knew he didn't. I helped Derek do this. She was sobbing now. I'll testify to everything. I'll tell the police everything. Just please let my father have his house back. The judge looked at Patricia, then at Derek's lawyer, who was staring at his client with barely concealed horror. I'm granting the emergency motion. All assets of Bridgeway Investments are frozen immediately. The sale of the property at 47 Maple Lane is void pending criminal investigation. Mr. Sullivan, I'm referring this matter to the Ottawa Police. I strongly suggest you consult with a criminal defense lawyer. She turned to me. Mr. Lawson, I'm sorry for what you've experienced. The system failed you. It shouldn't be this easy to steal someone's life. Outside the courthouse, the November wind bit through my coat, but I barely felt it. Frank stood beside me. Patricia was on the phone with the police, and Sarah sat on a bench nearby, crying into her hands. I walked over to her. She looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. Dad, I know you can't forgive me. I don't deserve it. I let him convince me you were losing your mind. I wanted to believe him because it was easier than accepting that I was being conned, that I was the fool. How long have you known? I started suspecting a month ago. Little things didn't add up. But by then, the house was sold. You were in the facility, and I was terrified. Derek said if I backed out, I'd go to prison too. He said I was an accessory. You are. She flinched. I know. You drugged me, Sarah. Your own father. You watched them take me away. I didn't know about the drugs. I swear. Derek put something in your wine that night. I thought you'd just had too much to drink. When you didn't wake up the next morning, he called Dr. Morrison, said it was a medical emergency. By the time I realized what was happening, you were already at Meadowbrook, and the paperwork was filed. And you said nothing. Derek threatened me. He said if I talked, he'd tell the police I was the mastermind, that he had evidence. I was scared, Dad. I know that's not an excuse. I looked at my daughter. This woman I'd raised, loved, sacrificed for. She'd made terrible choices. She'd betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. But she was also a victim, manipulated by someone who'd studied exactly how to exploit trust. I don't know if I can forgive you, Sarah. Not now. Maybe not ever. But I won't lie to the police about your involvement. I'll tell them what you told the judge today. That you were deceived, that you came forward, that you cooperated. Thank you. Don't thank me. This doesn't fix anything. We're not okay. We might never be okay. But I'm not going to destroy you to punish Derek. That's not who I am. She reached for my hand. I let her take it, briefly, before pulling away. Go home, Sarah. Talk to a lawyer. The police will want to interview you. Tell them everything. Will you ever want to see me again? I don't know. I need time. A lot of time. She nodded, wiped her eyes, and walked away into the gray Ottawa afternoon. The criminal investigation took 3 months. Detective Sergeant Williams was thorough and relentless. She found Derek's trail of victims, 4 elderly people across Ontario whose lives he'd disrupted or destroyed. Doris Hartley in Toronto, Arthur Webb in Hamilton, who died in care never knowing his cottage had been sold, Margaret Chen in Kingston, who'd caught on early enough to stop him, but had been too ashamed to press charges. And me, Robert Lawson, the one who fought back. Derek was charged with fraud over $5,000, uttering forged documents, administering a noxious substance, and elder abuse. Dr. Morrison was charged with fraud and filing false medical documents. The College of Physicians revoked his license before the trial even began. Sarah pleaded guilty to 1 count of fraud. Her cooperation earned her a conditional discharge with 3 years probation and 200 hours of community service at a seniors advocacy center. The judge noted that she'd been manipulated, but also that she'd had opportunities to stop what was happening and hadn't taken them. The law doesn't excuse us when we let fear override our conscience, the judge said during sentencing, but it does recognize that not all participants in a crime are equally culpable. I hope, Miss Lawson, that you use this second chance to understand the harm you caused and work to prevent it happening to others. Derek's trial lasted 2 weeks. I testified for almost a full day. His defense lawyer tried to paint me as confused, vindictive, an old man who couldn't accept that his daughter had grown up and made decisions he didn't like. But Patricia had prepared me well, and Dr. Chen's evaluation was unimpeachable. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek received 7 years in federal prison. The judge called his crimes calculated, predatory, and devastating to vulnerable people who should have been able to trust their families. When they let him out in handcuffs, Derek looked at me. His expression wasn't angry or defeated. It was calculating. Even then, he was planning his next move, his early release, his return. Some people can't be reformed. They can only be stopped. Getting my house back took another 6 months. The legal untangling was complex, lawyers billing hours that made my eyes water. But in the end, Bridgeway Investments was dissolved, its assets seized, and my house was returned to me along with $260,000 in damages. I walked through the front door on a warm May afternoon, almost exactly a year after I'd woken up in that nursing home bed. The house was empty. Derek had sold everything, every piece of furniture Margaret and I had collected over 40 years. Her rose garden was overgrown. The walls where our family photos had hung were bare. But the bones were there. The staircase I'd reinforced myself. The kitchen where Margaret and I had danced to CBC radio on Saturday mornings. The bedroom where she'd taken her last breath, holding my hand. Frank helped me move in. We went to estate sales, antique shops, the Sally Ann in Westboro. Slowly, I rebuilt. Not the same home. That was gone forever. Like Margaret. Like my relationship with my daughter. But a new version, a survivor's version. People ask me, even now, if I made the right choice. If I should have forgiven Sarah sooner, shown more mercy, kept the family intact at any cost. My answer is always the same. Loving someone doesn't mean accepting betrayal. Being family doesn't give someone the right to drug you, commit you, steal everything you've built. The hardest thing I ever did was sit in that courtroom and watch my daughter plead guilty to defrauding me. But it was also the most necessary. Sarah and I have spoken twice since her sentencing. Awkward phone calls on Christmas and my birthday. She's in therapy now, working through her guilt and the patterns that made her susceptible to someone like Derek. She volunteers at the Seniors Center, helping people recognize the signs of financial abuse. Maybe someday we'll have more than awkward phone calls. Maybe someday I'll be ready to have her back in my life. But I won't pretend the wound is healed just because time has passed. Some betrayals leave scars that never fully fade. I'm 68 years old now. I live alone in the house Margaret and I built our life in. I still do the Globe crossword in pen every morning. Frank comes over for chess on Thursdays. Dr. Chen sends me articles about elder abuse prevention, and I speak at community centers sometimes, telling my story to other seniors who need to know this can happen to anyone. If you're listening to this and you see yourself in my story, if someone in your life is pushing you to sign papers you don't understand, is suddenly concerned about your capacity when you feel fine, is isolating you from friends who might notice something wrong, please hear me. You are not crazy. You are not confused. You are not too old to fight back. In Canada, we have the Canadian Centre for Elder Law. We have police financial crimes units. We have lawyers who specialize in protecting people exactly like us. We have neighbors like Frank who will dig for the truth when something doesn't seem right. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Tell someone you trust what's happening. And never, ever sign anything without your own lawyer. One you choose yourself, reviewing it first. The people who prey on seniors count on our shame, our desire to keep family problems private, our fear of being seen as declining. They count on us believing that our children would never hurt us, that the people we trust must have our best interests at heart. Sometimes they don't, and recognizing that isn't cynicism, it's survival. I lost a year of my life to Derek Sullivan's scheme. I lost my faith in my daughter. I lost every photograph of Margaret, every memento of our life together. Those things can never be recovered. But I got my house back. I got my freedom back. I got my dignity back. And I got something else. The knowledge that I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. My name is Robert Lawson. I'm a 68-year-old retired civil engineer from Ottawa, Ontario. And I'm the man who refused to let his own family steal his life. If I can fight back, so can you.